Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm doing another fucking video from my bed. I want to talk about the 5 stages of a breakup. So there are 5 stages after a breakup that I believe happen, at least for me. And this is for breakups that are like significant, like a breakup that happened for a relationship that was like, I don't know, a month long, 2 weeks long, whatever. That's, you could probably get over that easily unless that person really swept you off your feet for 2 weeks, which is possible, but for a person like me, it would take at least a significant amount of time. I'm talking 6 months to a year, which I think I've only had one relationship last a year, a little over a year actually, so that was kind of nice. And after that breakup, I went through 5 stages. And I say 5, but it's actually 6. And I'll get to the 6th one after I label the 5. So we'll start with the first stage. The first stage is loneliness. So, after you break up with somebody, you don't have that person in your life. And if you're anything like me, you probably don't have a lot of friends to hang out with. Like, you might have one or two, but they have their own set of friends. They have their own clique, and you're not part of that clique. So you don't hang out with them. So normally you're alone unless you're with your partner, who you are no longer with because of the breakup. So loneliness ensues, and then you're just like, I wish I had somebody. Like, just somebody in general to like hold you and make you feel better, but you have nobody, so you're lonely. So that's the first stage. It's a pretty sad stage, and it sets in after most things that are bad happen to you. Like if someone in your family dies, like your mother or your aunt or your dog, and you don't really have anybody else to fill that position or place with, or the fact that someone can't fill that position because that position was held by somebody who's just irreplaceable, you're just going to feel lonely. The second stage is depression and pain. Now, depression, the way I'm describing it, is just a long time to be sad. Just sadness. Like a lot of sadness, and just not being able to get into a better mood no matter what you do. And this definitely happened after my 1-year relationship. I was lonely, and then I just got depressed. And I put depression and pain because depression hurts. And it might not be a physical hurt. For some people, depression can be a physical pain. For me, it was mental, spiritually. I just felt broken. I felt like, my arm got dislodged and it just can't move back into position. And this pain, and on top of the depression, it wasn't doing me any good. I should note that through all these stages, even up to about today, I could say, most of that pain hasn't gone away, right? Because you spend a lot of time, you spend a year with somebody, let alone 6 months with somebody. That's a lot of time. Like, a lot of time you're not going to get back. That a lot of time that you spend thinking, this is probably going to be the last relationship in my life, and I'm going to grow old with this person. And that didn't happen. So that hurts. Emotionally, of course. Maybe physically, depending on the person. But don't do that to yourself, because that's bad, and a lot of people care about you. Don't hurt yourself. I might think about offing myself because I failed with somebody who I was completely in love with, but don't do it. Just don't do it, because it's gonna make that person that you broke up with hurt even more, and your family members are gonna hurt even more, or they're just gonna hurt in general because they don't even know what was going on with you. They didn't think you were suicidal. So the third stage is called craziness, which sounds kind of stupid, but the way I'm describing it is that stage that comes after the depression and pain, when you're just like pent up with most likely anger. At least for me, it was anger. It was really, really harsh sadness and anger of me losing the person that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, right? So craziness usually just depicts something happening, me doing something that's just like anything that's regrettable, like I did that and I really regret it, showing up at their doorstep with flowers. Like, I didn't do that, obviously. Well, it's not obvious. I can say I didn't do it, but you don't know that. I could have clearly done that. So that's stage 3. Stage 4 is acceptance. The acceptance stage takes a little while because you're probably you're pent up on the depression, the loneliness, the pain, and you may or may not have done something crazy. Some people skip that stage, but if you did, at that point, you're just like, okay, none of this is working. I need to learn to accept that it's over. And that for me took about a week to a couple of weeks. And between that time, I met somebody who was pretty cool, and I hung out with them, and I kind of led them on to believe I wanted to date them, and that was bad. That was like really, 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 really bad. I should have done that. It definitely helped a little bit as far as getting over her and reaching a level of acceptance that it's over, but at the expense of a person I just met, it was not the right thing to do. And that's something that I definitely regret doing in general. Not meeting her, but the things I did with her were just bad. And that's the stage 4. The acceptance stage is a very, very, very deep stage that has to be considered because you have to accept that it's over. It's hard to come to that, and sometimes you got to go through the stages 1 through 3 to get to that stage. Sometimes people can just accept that it's over and just move on. For me, it was a year, and it was my first and longest relationship that lasted a year. So eventually I accepted it, and that helped me leading into stage 5. That helped me rebuild my confidence. At stage 5 I call it rebuilding of confidence, because you have to get confidence if you're ever going to get back on that horse and try again, and just be happy with it. Be happy with your life. So that also takes a decent amount of time. I'm not really sure how. Normally, as soon as you accept that it's over, you can begin building yourself up to get courage and find a woman, a new woman, a better woman, possibly. And that's really all there is to say. I mean, I guess it didn't really take me that long. As I said, I met somebody who was pretty cool, and they helped me get over that. So that built my confidence along with the accepting that it was over. So it was like a double whammy. It really helped. And then once my confidence was built all the way up, at that time I had found someone new, someone who actually was interesting. I had dated them. That's my last relationship, the woman that I met at that time when I was rebuilding my confidence, and she really just put me over the top. She gave me really decent happiness. She was fun, she was smart, intellectual, and I mean, honestly, it should have worked out, but me and her just had different personalities. But that's not to say that what she did for me wasn't noteworthy. I mean, I found a really good job out of meeting her. She sort of pushed me in that direction, and it was a really good direction. I'm glad that I met her, because if it wasn't for her, I'd still be at that crappy job that I hate. And yeah, rebuilding of confidence. And once you've done all the 5 steps the 5 stages after a breakup, I said that there were 6 because I wrote down 6. There is a 6th stage, and that is forgiveness. And this stage is actually pretty important because, that person you broke up with or broke up with you is a person too. And you can't hold grudges, because that will bring you back and bring you down. And forgiveness is the only way to move on and better your life. And I think it took until I broke up with the girl I mentioned that I was with for 2 months that led me onto the job. I think it took me until me and her broke up to realize that I can't hold grudges anymore, and I need to get over any sort of bad blood and hatred I have with anybody that I've ever dated ever. So over the last week, I kind of been talking to people that I had dated before and people that I hadn't dated and, probably had a grudge with. And I've been trying to talk to them and just get to know them a little bit more and tell them that I forgive them. That my life is going in a great direction. I'm getting better. and there's just no hatred from me. Like, I want to be okay. I want everybody on my side when I start coming up and making a lot more money. And, you know, you want to have people on your side. You don't want people who just like, oh, no, I don't like him. I don't talk to him. Fuck him. He could die. Stage 6 is an extra stage, which is actually about as important as all 5 stages, if not more important, because you should always try to forgive people if they've done you wrong. It's not to say that my ex had done me wrong when I was with for a year, or any ex for that matter, because every bad thing that happens is a lesson. And in most cases, you know, at least in my case, with that last relationship with the girl that I was with for 2 months, a great job came out of it, and I'm really satisfied. And it wouldn't have been without meeting her, because she just happens to live in the state that job is in. So honestly, I wouldn't have had it any other way. I had to break up with the girl I was with for a year because I had to find a better job, and the only way to find that better job is to meet somebody who could lead me to find that job. Everything happens for a reason. I think that's the point of this commentary. I want to thank you guys for watching, if you watched or listened to the whole video, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.